Hello, good night, everyone. We will be presenting on creating vision and strategic direction, chapter 13 of the leadership experience by Richard DAFT. My group members are Alexa Marie, Krishma, and myself, Sanchez. So, in this chapter, we first provide an overview of the leader's role in creating the organization's future. Then we examine what vision is, the underlying themes that are common to effective visions, and how vision works on multiple levels. The distinction between vision and the organization's mission is also explained. We then discuss how leaders formulate vision and strategy, and the leader's contribution to achieving the vision. The last section discusses the impact this leadership has on organizations. So here is Bert Rutan, a strategic visionary, and he was just one second. He was just a teenager when President John F. Kennedy had set a clear and visionary goal of putting a man on the moon for NASA by the end of the decade, and watched that vision become a reality in July of 1969. Almost 40 years later, Rutan had his own vision of making human spaceflight as routine as airplane travel. His company, Scaled Composites, gained international acclaim in the 1980s for Voyager, a twin-engine propeller plane that achieved his vision for the first non-stop flight around the world without refueling. Yet, when he first told his employees about his vision of building a spacecraft, some found it a bit overwhelming, as they had only done low-speed subsonic flights for 17 years. So what did they know about going into space? However, Rutan's vision was so powerful and activating that each of them wanted a chance to contribute to the space project. Soon, soon Spaceship One was born, and in October of 2004, it landed in the Mojave Desert after carrying humans to space twice within a week, which had earned its owners the 10 million Ansari X Prize. It marked the first time that a private business successfully launched humans into space. Spaceship One is a small step, and there are significant hurdles to overcome before routine space travel becomes a reality. One of the most important duties of a leader is to enunciate and communicate a compelling vision that will stimulate people toward the future. Both Rutan and Kennedy's vision was so out of the ordinary, but illustrate how inspiring and energizing an idealistic vision can be. Good leaders are always looking ahead, placing a course for the future, and getting everyone moving in the same direction. I would now like to pass you on to Alexa Marie, who will tell you a little bit about the strategic leadership.
Good night, class and sir. For this part of the presentation, I will be covering strategic leadership. So what is strategic leadership? Strategic leadership is the ability to anticipate and envision the future, maintain flexibility, think strategically, and initiate changes that will create a competitive advantage for the organization in the future. In a fast changing world, leaders are faced with a bewildering array of intricate and cryptic information, and no two leaders will view things the same way or make the same choices. Many leaders tend to focus on internal organizational issues rather than strategic activities. It is much easier and soothing for leaders to deal with routine operational issues where they can see results instantly and feel a sense of control. One study looked at the time executives in various departments spend on long term strategic activities and found discouraging results. In the company studied, 84% of finance executives' time, 70% of information technology executives' time, and 76% of operational managers' time is focused on routine, day to day activities. Another study found that on average, senior executives spend less than 3% of their energy on building a corporate perspective for the future, and in some companies, the average is less than 1%. Still, no organization can thrive for the long term without a clear viewpoint and framework for the future. Now, this diagram here illustrates the levels that constitute the domain of strategic leadership. Strategic leadership is responsible for the relationship of external environment to choices about vision, mission, strategy, and their implementation. Each level of hierarchy supports the level above it. At the top of this diagram is a clear vision of where the business wants to be in 5 to 10 years. Then, vision indicates the environment and works in concert with the company's mission. Then there's strategy that determines direction for translating the vision into action and is the basis for the development of particular mechanisms to assist the organization achieve its goals. Strategies are intentions, while implementation is through the basic organization architecture that makes things happen. Each section of this framework will be induced throughout the remainder of this chapter. So now I will be passing you on to Karishma, who will be going through leadership vision and mission leadership.
Good night, everyone. I am Karishma, and I'll be discussing about leadership vision and mission. What is a vision? A vision can be a thought of as a dream for the future. It can also be more than a dream. So it is a sense of direction of an ideal future that is credible yet not readily attainable. A vision is basically an ambitious view of the future that everyone involved can believe in and one that can realistically be achieved. What is leadership vision? Leadership vision is the ability to concentrate on the most important aspect of yourself or business, such as what you want to achieve and what type of leader you aspire to be. Your vision can incorporate lessons from your past and present realities that must be addressed in your future aspirations. So, this person over here is Mr. Stanford R. Ovshinsky. Stanford Robert was an American engineer, scientist, and inventor. Most of his inventions have had wide ranging applications. So, Mr. Stanford had a vision, and this was his vision. Mr. Ovshinsky spent over 40 years pursuing his dreams of making a giant sheet of thin photovoltaic material that can convert sunlight to electricity and making them cheaply enough that solar can compete with fossil fuels. Mr. Stanford said that he was going to make it by the mile, but no one believed him at first, not even Mr. Stanford's own company. Today, energy conversion devices use a mammoth machine the size of a football field to spool out long tins of sheets of solar materials that is used on the roofs of homes and businesses. Even running at a full capacity, the factory can't keep up with the orders. Mr. Stanford was also prominent, and one of his most prominent solutions or invention was the hybrid metal nickel battery that he used in cars all over the world. So in the next slide is a video of him presenting his battery solution to the world.
This is my toolbox because the periodic table represents the universe. I worked in Ohio's factories, I worked in Ohio's farms, and I got my education in Ohio's public libraries. I loved learning.
Stan's contribution to the nickel metal hydride was really the enabling technology. You heard of lead acid, you heard of nickel cadmium. People would use elements as the materials to go into the battery. Stan's concept was completely radically different.
One element doesn't do that. You have to design a spectrum of elements.
Powders that go into the battery, they're very complex. There are 9 elements that get melted together to form an alloy, which ends up forming these powders.
It is long life, it is very sturdy, it is very safe. The batteries started a new revolution in the automotive business. Workers should have a say. They give their lives, their families to work. I keep improving. I don't just say, this is wonderful, isn't it great, let's drink champagne. I just say, let's see what we can do now. Patents are now called primarily intellectual property. It is the property that we want the whole world to share in so that it can become a better and safer and a more beautiful world.
What vision works in a number of ways. Firstly, vision links the present to the future. This simply means that a vision is not always about the future, but it begins with the here and now. Secondly, vision energizes people and garners commitment. People want to feel enthusiastic about their work. Many people commit their time and energy voluntarily to causes they believe in, such as political campaigns, environmental causes, or community events. Vision gives meaning to work. People also need to find dignity and meaning in their work. People are usually drawn to companies that offer them a chance to do something meaningful. Fourthly, vision establishes a standard of excellence and integrity. This means that a powerful vision frees people from the mundane by providing them with a challenge that requires them to give it their best. So, in addition to this, vision provides a measure by which employees can gauge their contributions to the organization. There are 5 themes in vision. Vision has a broad appeal. This means that although it may be obvious that a vision can be advised, only through people many visitors fail to adequately involve the employees. Vision is something that cannot be the property of the leader alone. It must be something that consists of everyone else in the company. Secondly, vision deals with change. Vision is all about the action and challenges. People make important change towards a better future. Just remember, change can be very frightening, but vision that works helps the organization to achieve bold change. Number 3, vision encourages faith and hope. Vision exists only in the imagination. It is a picture of the world that cannot be observed or verified in advance. The future is shaped by people who believed in it, and a powerful vision do helps people believe that they can be effective and they are better future so they themselves can move through their own commitment and action. Number 4, vision reflects high ideals. Do you guys know that good vision are idealistic? Vision that portrays an uplifting future have the power to inspire and energize people. Last, vision defines the destination, and journey. A good vision for the future includes specific outcomes that the organization wants to achieve. It also incorporates the underlying values that will help the organization to get there. So, we are now going to talk about leadership mission. So, what is leadership mission? The missions is the organization's core broad purpose and the reason for existence. It defines the company core values and reason for being. And it also provides a basis for creating the vision. Vision is not the same thing as the company's vision, although the both works together. What mission does? The mission persists in the face of changing technologies, economic conditions, or other environment shifts. It also serves as the glue that holds the organization together in times of change and guides strategic choices and decisions about the future. The mission more or less defines the enduring character of the organization and can be used as an example to leadership tool to help employees find meaning in their work. So this is an example of mission. This example is Microsoft mission statement, and it says our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So what do they mean by this? So let's look at Microsoft corporations, right? Microsoft is an American multinational company that develops, manufactures, license, and sell technology products, including computer softwares, electronics, and personal computers. So therefore, this mission statement on the slide is a good example because it provides a broad enough scale of scope to explain what the company can do. And it is also inspirational. It is all about empowering people, and it is the kind of statement that people can get excited about and can rally behind. It also defines Microsoft's strategy, which is reaching out to the whole world and making an influence on all individuals and organizations. So there is two critical parts that make up the mission statement: the core values and the core purposes. The core values guides the organization no matter what happens. The core values embodied in our credo might be a competitive advantage, but that is not why we have them. Many of you may want to know what this credo means or what is credo. So, credo is basically a statement of the beliefs or aims which guide someone's action. We have them here because they define us for what we stand for and what we would hold them even if they become a comparative advantage. However, on the other hand, the core purpose is a visceral and emotional connection to why you are doing what you are doing, the difference you are going to make to customers, your staffs, and the wider world is a legacy your company is going to leave. So, in this slide, this is a small demonstration of a comparison between vision and mission, as previously discussed. So I'll now like to pass you over to Alexa, who will be defining and talking more about strategy and action.
Hello once again, class and sir. Now, I will be covering strategy and action for this part of the presentation. Here are the key terms and definitions to note. which are strategic management, strategy, core competence, synergy, value, strategic formulation, and strategy implementation. Now, what is strategic management? Strategic management is the set of decisions and actions used to formulate and implement specific strategies that will achieve a competitively superior fit between the organization and its environment so as to achieve organizational goals. It is the leader of the organization's job to search for this fit and translate it into action. Deciding where to go. What is strategy? Strategy can be defined as the general plan of action that describes resource allocation and other activities for dealing with the environment and helping the organization attain its goals. When formulating a strategy, leaders usually ask questions such as: where is the organization now? Where does it want to be? What changes and trends are happening now in the competitive environment? What courses of action can assist us in achieving our vision? Strategic leaders study the events that have already been done and carry out based on their anticipation of what the future might look like. An example is Progressive Insurance, who were the first to offer rate quotes online, while other companies had the same information about the growth of personal computers and the internet, but did not formulate the same strategies for taking advantage of the new technology. In order to better your chances for success, leaders cultivate strategies that focus on three qualities: core competence, developing synergy, and creating value for customers. So, what is core competence? Core competence is something the organization does extremely well in compared to its competitors. A company's core competence is something the business does very well compared to their competitors. Leaders try to identify the company's unique strengths. For instance, how does their organization differ from others in the industry? An example for this is the company LL Bean, who succeeds with a core competence of excellent customer service and a quality guarantee. A customer can return a purchase at any time and get a refund or exchange. Now, what is synergy? Synergy is the interaction of organizational parts to produce a joint effect that is greater than the sum of the parts. Accordingly, the organization may achieve a special advantage with respect to cost, market power, technology, or employee skills. One way that companies acquire synergy is through alliances or partnerships. For example, North General Hospital is a small community hospital in Harlem which caters mostly to the poor and to the elderly. They had lost money every year from when it was founded in 1979 until in 2005, leaders had focused on a new strategy that included an alliance with one of New York's most prominent teaching hospitals, Mount Sinai Medical Center. In return for an annual fee, North General uses Mount Sinai's physicians and surgeons who perform highly specialized procedures and treat specific diseases that affect African Americans at high rates. This deal increases revenue for Mount Sinai as well as brings in more patients. Now, what is value? Value is the combination of benefits received and costs paid by the customer. Delivering value to the customer is at the heart of strategy. For example, the president of Pottery Barn, Laura Alba, points to a thick $24 bath towel as an icon of what Pottery Barn aspires to be. Alba says, "For us, this represents a combination of design, quality, and price. If this were $60, you'd still like it. But at $24, you'd go, this is incredible." What is strategy formulation? Strategy formulation is integrating knowledge of the environment, vision, and mission with the core competence in such a way as to achieve synergy and create customer value. When these elements are brought together, the company has an excellent chance to succeed in a competitive environment. In order to do so, leaders have to ensure that strategies are implemented, that actual behavior within the company reflects the desired direction. Deciding how to get there. So, strategy implementation is putting strategy into action by adjusting various parts of the organization and directing resources to accomplish strategic goals. One recent survey found that only 57% of responding firms reported that managers successfully implemented the new strategies they had devised over the past 3 years. Other research had estimated that as much as 70% of all business strategies never get implemented, reflecting the complexity of strategy implementations. This diagram provides a simplified model for how leaders make strategic decisions. The two dimensions considered are whether a particular choice will have a high or low strategic impact on the business, and whether implementation of the decision will be easy or difficult. A change that both produces a high strategic impact and is easy to implement would be a leader's first choice for putting strategy into action. Now, I will be passing you on to Sanchez, who will be going through the remainder of this presentation.
Okay, so the leader's contribution. Although good leadership calls for actively involving everyone, leaders are still ultimately responsible for establishing direction through vision and strategy. When leadership fails to provide direction, organizations flounder. Stimulating vision and action. So, in the waiting lounge of a fine lakeside restaurant, a sign reads, "Where there is no hope in the future, there is no power in the present." The owner explains his presence there by telling the story of how his small, picturesque village with its homes and businesses was sacrificed to make way for a flood control project. After losing their fight to reverse the decision, most business leaders simply let their businesses decline and die. Soon, the only people who came to the village did so to eat at the cheery little diner, whose owner became the butt of jokes because he continued to work so hard. Everyone laughed when he chose to open a larger and fancier restaurant on the hill behind the village. Yet, when the flood control project was finally completed, he had the only attractive restaurant on the edge of a beautiful, newly constructed lake that drew many tourists. Anyone could have found out, as he did, where the edge of the lake would be. Yet, most of the business owners had no vision for the future. The restaurant owner had a vision, and he took action on it. Hopes and dreams for the future are what keep people moving forward. However, for leaders to make a real difference, they have to link those dreams with strategic actions. Vision has to be translated into specific goals, objectives, and plans so that employees know how to move toward the desired future. Next. So here now we have a little chart talking about linking strategic vision and strategic action. So you can see here on the left we have vision, high or low vision, right? And below we have low or high action. So the person who is both low on providing vision and stimulating action is uninvolved, not really a leader at all. The leader who is all action and little vision is a doer. He or she may be a hard worker and dedicated to the job and the organization, but the doer is working blindly. Without a sense of purpose and direction, activities have no real meaning and do not truly serve the organization, the employees, or the community. The dreamer, on the other hand, is good at providing a big idea with meaning for self and others. This leader may effectively inspire others with a vision, yet he or she is weak on implementing strategic action. The vision in this case is only a dream, a fantasy, because it has little chance of ever becoming a reality. To be an effective leader, one both dreams big and transforms those dreams into significant strategic action. either through his or her own activities or by hiring other leaders who can effectively implement the vision and strategy. So I wanna ask you all to look at this chart, and I wanna know, do you all identify with any part of the chart? Do you think that you are a dreamer, a doer, uninvolved generally, or do you think that you are actually an effective leader? Anyone in class? Nobody think that they fit into this mold. Rebecca Ray there? You think you could?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I am an effective leader. I know it'll sound like a narcissist, but I don't mean to. But I think that I am because I do have, or I try to have more innovative thoughts when I'm getting something done and doing something. So to have a particular purpose and strategy. So I'm guessing it might fall more there.
Okay,
It's
but you do
more
build
realistic.
on those innovative ideas. You do try to bring them to life.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. And well,
Definitely.
those are the qualities of an effective leader. So,
Yeah, I try
um,
to make them realistic so that I can do them.
great, great. Strategic action. All right. Well, we'll move on now. Thank you, Rebecca, for participating. So, how do leaders decide? To determine strategic direction for the future, leaders look inward, outward, and forward. Leaders scan both the internal and external organizational environment to identify trends, threats, and opportunities for the organization. Mhm. So, SWOT analysis. So, SWOT is the strengths to find out the strengths of the organization. What are you good at? What is the organization good at? Analyzing the weaknesses. What are we not so good at? What are the opportunities that may be for us at this point in time? So, what can we do? Use those opportunities to our advantage. And what are the threats that we need to be aware of? So, leaders can make some good strategic decision making by doing the SWOT analysis. Next slide. Five competitive forces by Michael Porter, right? So these five competitive forces are the potential new entrants into an industry, bargaining power of buyers, the bargaining power of suppliers, the threat of substitute products, and rivalry among competitors. By carefully examining these five forces, leaders can develop effective strategies to remain competitive. So moving on to the last leg here, the leader's impact. When leaders link vision and strategy, they can make a real difference for their organization's future. Research has shown that strategic thinking and planning for the future can positively affect a company's performance and financial success. Another study has shown that as much as 44% of the variance in profitability of major firms may be attributed to strategic leadership. So, one way leader impact has been evaluated is to examine whether top executive turnover makes a difference. So, the top leader, the chief executive turnover studies with samples from corporations, companies, and churches. These resulted in improved profits, stock prices, and in the case of churches, there were improved attendance, membership, and donation. So, top leader succession typically explains from 20% to 45% of the variance in organizational outcomes. Leadership teams now, right? So, a team provides diverse aptitudes and skills to deal with complex organizational situations. Many researchers believe in the configuration of the top leader team to be more important for an organizational success than the characteristics of a single CEO. For example, the size, diversity, attitudes, and skills of the team affects patterns of communication and collaboration, which in turn affects companies' performance. Although research in the area of leader impact is still relatively limited, it does seem to affirm the belief that the choices leaders make have a significant impact on the organization's performance. So we're gonna move into the summary of what we discussed to conclude the presentation. I'll pass you over to Karishma.
In conclusion, this is a short summary of our presentation that was previously discussed. The summary entails strategic leadership. What is strategic leadership? Vision as opposed to mission, strategic management, core competence, strategic formulation, linking vision and strategy, and top leadership types. These are the list of references we used in our presentation. Are there any questions? Well, if there are no questions, we have come to the end of our presentation. Thank you for your participation and listening.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you.